All right, guys, we're ready to begin lesson two. Just as a quick reminder, we're using Zaman Likro, Time to Read Hebrew Volume 1, which you can purchase from Amazon. You can also get it from its publisher, which is Berman House. And Berman House might be something you want to look into once you've learned the Aleph Beit anyway, because they're known for their educational resources for synagogues, and they have things with like conversational Hebrew, learning to read from the Torah. So you might want to look into them if your next step involves any of those things. The other thing is you need to make sure, the reason I was showing the book is you need to make sure you have your own copy. Because, for one thing, there are writing activities, which I'm not going to do with you, that help you practice reading Hebrew. And the other reason is in between moving on from one lesson to the next, you need to practice reading the sounds, which eventually will become words and sentences. You need to read those out loud and practice on your own at least one time before moving on to the next lesson. And as I'm saying that, let me also say this: try to do 2 to 3 lessons a week at minimum. I haven't got them all up yet, but by the time you're watching this, maybe they're all complete. You want to get the Hebrew Aleph Beit under your belt as soon as possible. That's basic knowledge. I have watched classes where just because I learned Hebrew in a very odd way, I've always tried to kind of sit in on classes and see like what's their methodology for teaching. And I find that classes that do like a few letters a week, they're not very successful unless the people who are in those classes already know some Hebrew. The people who are learning for the first time, it's just not great. For one thing, life happens. So if you're learning a couple letters a week, these classes are going to be 6 or 7 weeks long. And life is going to happen. At some point, a lot of people just aren't able to finish those classes. The other thing is, even if you do finish the class, I've also seen that people towards the end of the class, they'll come across a letter that they learned at the beginning, but they've already forgotten it. And so just life gets in the way. Life's going to get in the way no matter what. But what you want is you want life to get in the way when you're like learning conversational Hebrew or reading from the Torah or learning Yiddish. You want it to get in the way once the Aleph Beit is part of your basic knowledge that you already know. That's why back in the 90s and the early 2000s, when they'd have the Hebrew crash courses, I actually liked that the most, where you go and you learn Hebrew together with the group in one day. And the idea is when you leave there, your head's hurting. Everyone says you have a headache afterwards, but you know the Aleph Beit and the main nikudim, the main vowel sounds, and then you can go do something with those. And a lot of people didn't. And you know what they would do is they would go to another crash course the next year. And after a little bit of that, then it's kind of like the letters. You don't forget those, and you can decode. You can look at a word with the Hebrew letters and the nikud, and you can pronounce it. And then you can, if you want to move on beyond that, then you can. But you want to get the letters under your belt as soon as possible. Do not do the whole like I'm going to do one lesson a week. You want to move beyond that if at all possible, just with the Aleph Beit. And then whatever you do after that, then you do like one lesson a week, like conversational Hebrew or practicing reading from the Torah. Then you do smaller sections. But the Aleph Beit, you want to get under your belt as soon as possible. That's just from watching other people and seeing some of the problems that I've noticed with other classes and different methodologies. Aleph Beit, Aleph is not that difficult. You want to get the Aleph Beit under your belt as soon as possible. And like I said, life will get in the way at some point, but the quicker you get this down, the less likely it is you're to forget it. Okay, so message over. Let's go to lesson two. All right, so lesson two, we have our new word and we have the picture, which tells us most likely this word means fish. But before we look at the word, we're going to actually look at the letters. So our new letters are Dalet, which has a D sound. You see the D is bold. So Dalet is da, da. And then Gimel. And Gimel is ga, ga. All right, so let's see if we can read the word. We have our chametz, which makes the ah sound. So the word is dog, dog. And dog means fish. And this is interesting because I think about a joke that I'm told. I've heard a lot of people say this. A lot of people would teach the phrase, they would say in Hebrew, they'd say, a dog They'd say a dog is a fish. And they were making a play on words because a lot of Jewish people in America live up north. And the way they say, as we would say in the South, dog, they pronounce it more like dog. And so they would say a dog is a fish, and they'd kind of make a joke about like a dog, like, a canine is a fish. And that joke really doesn't make sense in the South with our accent. And I'm told that it doesn't make sense to Israelis who pronounce this a little bit differently. And that just goes to show you that accents are regional. And so some of the ways you may learn to say certain things, they may not make sense in another context, and you'll figure that out as you go along. But I'm just pointing that out because I've heard the whole dog is a fish, and a lot of Jews from up north kind of laugh because they heard that as well. In the South, it doesn't make sense to us with the way we pronounce things, but it also doesn't make sense with Israelis. So pronunciation will change based off region and community. So just keep that in mind. Okay, so we know dog. And now we're going to go down here. Okay, it says this story about eating dog on Shabbat comes from the Talmud. A man named Joseph had a greedy neighbor. The neighbor was told that Joseph would somehow get all his money, so the neighbor sold everything and bought one precious jewel. He put the jewel into his turban to keep it safe. One day, the wind blew the turban into the river. A dog swallowed the jewel. Weeks later, the dog was caught and brought to market. When Joseph saw the dog, he bought it right away for Shabbat. When he cut into the fish, he found the jewel inside. Joseph sold the jewel for 13 rooms filled with gold coins. And so it is said, if you honor Shabbat, Shabbat will repay you with honor. This is also from the Talmud, Shabbat 119a. Okay, so let's go to our reading page. Remember, our keyword is dog. Okay, so we're gonna do like we did last time. I am going to say the number, and then I'm going to make the sound or the word, and then I'm going to pause. It's really important for you to practice, once again, saying these things out loud. So I will say the sound or the syllable, and I will pause, and then you need to be saying that. And then you can practice on your own afterwards. Okay, 1. Sha, ga, ba, ta, da. Okay, 2. Gasha, gata, gaba, gada, gaga. All right, 3. Gush, gut, gob, god, gog. All right, 4. Dasha, data, daga, dada, tada. All right, 5. Dash, dot, dog, dud, Todd. All right, 6. Shaga, Taga, Baga, Shasha, Shata. All right, 7. Shag, Tag, Bug, Shash, Shot. Okay, and let's look at our cool word. Can you say it? dot, dot. It's the word for religion. And it's kind of a word that's been created in modern Israel. People will say, "Ani dati," which means I am religious. And really, what that means is I am observant. That means I follow halakha. I'm going to keep the lights. I'm not going to turn lights on Shabbat. I'm not going to spend money. I'm dati. And if people sometimes will say, is this okay for you to do? And they'll say, lo dati. I'm not observant. I'm not religious. And it doesn't have anything to do with belief about God or anything like that. It just means, are you observant of the halakha, of the Jewish law, or are you not? So that's what it means. Okay, so let's go to the next page. Keyword is still dag. Okay, so we're getting some more letters, some more syllables. Okay, so one, I'll say it, then you say it. Bagata, badata, bagada, badaga, badasha. Okay, I'm going to do it one more time because I think I might have went too fast. So one more time on one. Bagata, badata, bagada, badaga, badasha. Okay, two. Got, dot, God, dog, dash. Okay, three. Dagat, gadot, bagad, badag, gadash. Four. Shagat, shadat, tagat, shadag, tadash. Okay, five. I'm going to move this down a little bit more. Okay, five. And the reason these are like this is one syllable. I know it's two letters, and you see you have the nikud down here, but this is one syllable. So tag, bad, gash, gag, bag. Okay, six. These are all two syllables. And you see the way they're separated, that these two letters are all one syllable at the end. So these are each two syllable words. Using modern Sephardic pronunciation, which the accents are different, but the way they speak in Israel, the way Sephardim speak, and the way we speak in most American synagogues, not all, but most, is we emphasize the end syllable most of the time. Not all the time, but most of the time. So the way I was taught this when I first started learning to pronounce Hebrew back when I was 14, they had the word foreign in front of us. Foreign emphasizes the beginning syllable of the word, foreign. If we were to pronounce it like a Sephardic person would pronounce it, in emphasizing the ending syllable, we would say foreign, foreign. Ashkenazic Jews tend to emphasize the beginning syllables when they're speaking an Ashkenazic style of Hebrew. But most Jews, including Ashkenazic Americans, when we say Ashkenazic Jews, what we mean is people who speak Ashkenazic Hebrew. Most American Jews are Ashkenazic, and they don't speak in the Ashkenazic form. They speak in the Sephardic form, which is the end syllable. So we notice that these words, or these sounds, they're two syllable. We're going to emphasize the end syllable. Okay, so six. So batag, Shabad, Dagash, Bagog, Babog. And I'm going to do it one more time. I think I went a little too fast. Batog, Shabad, Dagash, Bagog, Babog. Okay, same thing on 7. 2 syllables, emphasize the end. Shatag, Dabad, Bagash, Shagog, Shabog. Okay, and now we're going to go down here. You got some practice for your writing. And look here, you'll be writing a word, dog. Okay, I'm going to keep going down. Let's see. Okay, so it says on each line, circle every Hebrew letter that matches the English sound. So we're going to do that, but then we're also going to just practice saying the letters because we're still kind of new to this. We want to practice saying the letters. So what's going to make the t sound? Tav. What's going to make the sh sound? Shin. What's going to make the d sound? Dalet. Dalet. What's going to make the g sound? Gimel. What's going to make the b sound? Bait. But now let's practice saying the letters. Tav, Shin, Gimel, Bait, Dalet. Gimel, Tav, Bait, Dalet, Shin. Bait, Dalet, Gimel, Dalet, Tav. Gimel, Dalet, Tav, Shin, Bat. Tav, Gimel, Shin, Bait, Dalet. Okay, so if I was going too fast, that means you need and you couldn't keep up with just the letters, not the sounds, but not the words on the other page, but the letters. Then you need to make sure you review those. You don't want to forget the letters and the sounds they make. Okay, so here you have an activity where you color in based off of the sounds, and you guys can do that. And then it wants you to circle the word dog. But practice saying the words out loud as well. So you're going to circle dog, but also practice words like bat, gadat, badad. So even though you wouldn't circle them, practice saying them out loud. Okay. So it says, the objects below are called the same thing in Hebrew and English. Write the sound of each word in Hebrew. So you have a gorilla, so you would know that would be g, would be a gimel. Dollar, so it's going to be a dalet. Balloon, it's going to be a bait. Guitar is going to be a gimel. Shofar is going to be a shin. And I'll let you do the rest on your own. Oh, I did something. What did I do? Okay, and that's it. And down at the bottom it says, finish setting the Shabbat table. Write the key words you know in their correct places. So you write Shabbat, and then you'll write dog. Those lovely gefilte fish patties there. All right, so that is going to be it for lesson 2. Before you do lesson 3, read over this on your own one time, sounding these things out, going over any letters that you don't know, and do practice your writing before you move on to lesson 3. Okay, so that will be it.